Vinley had soiled herself. She knew from the smell, she knew she had been humiliated, but she was in too much pain. Someone was crying. Was it her? No, she had no energy. It was all she had to just breathe. Her chest seemed to be made of iron, and her heart magnet drawing each rib inexorably inwards to stab all of her organs. Please, stop! Please stop! Everything sounded like she was underwater. She tried turning her face towards the voice, but it was impossible. It's killing her! She is strong. She can do this. Finley, stop! Tavy? That couldn't be right. That voice sounded upset. Octavia hated her now. She needed to know the truth about how they met. She knew all the secrets Vandilla, had been keeping from her for so long. No way she could be. Vinley, please! The voice urgently said. Don't do this. It's not worth it. I'm not worth... Dull thud, wet thump, the voice called out. Foolish mare. She will do this. She will do it because I have told her to, and she has learned this from pearls of disobeying her father. You're a monster! The voice was even more muffled, as if the speaker was pressing a hoof over its mouth. Her mouth. Tavy's mouth. Why couldn't you just let her go? Because she is mine. She's always been mine, and she always will be mine. Isn't she yours? She has her own pony. Another wet thump. Tavy cried out again. Something small, hard bounced off Vinley's nose. With an enormous effort, she prized her eyes open. It took a few moments to focus on the white object on the floor in front of her. A tooth. The fork end was bloody. Ah, innocent wench. How dare you spit on me? Go to Tartarus, monster! Tavia's voice sounded odd, her consciousness too stimulant. This was her tooth. An image of Octavia smiling over a cup of tea, a late-night bakery flashed into Vinley's mind. Tavy's smile, so warm and so open and different than the smiles Vinley was used to. Or maybe that was just an attraction, making the memory seem more special than it was. She hadn't known the attraction was back then. She hadn't even known what the friendship is like. Vinley remembered Octavia smiling unexpectedly when she tried to cook spaghetti and failed so badly that pieces were still swirling from a ceiling fan a month later. You're such a terrible cook, but you're my terrible cook. She remembered that tired smile that came to Vinley with a warm bath ready for rehearsal with a brutal new conductor that left Tavy's hooves soaring calflet. It has to be done. Sacrifices made if anyone wants to get out of there in life. But Tavy, my dream is to play in the Canterlot Sympathy Orchestra someday. I know, but this guy is an ass. Vinley language. You don't want to get to that level without working hard in the lesser orchestras first. Ponyville players may not be in Canterlot Symphony, but it's a start. We have been known to play at the Galloping Gala before. Who knows? Maybe someday I'll go with them too. She remembered how they both smiled, though their warmths heartwarming, and even though they had been too poor for a tree, so they decorated a random branch. Finley, get out of here. It's in the apple property. You can't just hop the fence like that. Relax, Tavy. It's just a branch. What are they gonna do? Set their dog on me for a branch theft? I'm not even breaking off one of their precious trees. It's on the ground. Just get back onto the side as quickly as you can. Please, I don't want to get into trouble. Relax, Applejack's cool. She won't mind. Heck, if we asked, she might have just given us away a whole tree. I think you might be exaggerating here. Vinley remembered kissing that smile. So many times, the warm kiss on her doorstep. Slow kisses in the shower, in the bath, or in front of the fireplace in the cold winter nights. Sweet kisses that taste of chocolate and candy on Hearts and Hooves Day. Fast kisses each morning beneath the covers before the alarm clock insisted they get up and go earn rent money. Kisses each and every day since Vandilla had become Vinley and had thrown herself in the mercy of one of the few ponies that had ever sworn her kindness without waiting something in return. A bead of blood dripped off the tooth's root. Vinley isn't yours. She doesn't belong to any pony. Not you, not me, not anyone. She belongs to herself. Tavy stopped talking. The flap of the wings would another flump, another cry. Don't talk to Daddy like that. Tavy, please. This wasn't happening. Vandila looked around in horror. Smashed furniture lay everywhere. The couch had been torn apart and opened. The beloved books were torn into pieces, their pages splattered with red. Vandila took a few hesitated steps into the room. Professor? No answer. Professor Orchard? Her hoofs traveled on their own violation. She had stooped to the couch, peering under the gap. She had twisted her head nearly upside down to see it properly. Blood-scented filled her nose. She knew what she had to see. But how would she feel it when she saw it? No! Necks should not be bent that way. No bone had been broken. The skin, but a purplish lump showed where it had bulged beneath. There was no way to tell either whatever death had come from that weight from the sun couch landing in her skull. You've been a naughty girl. Vandila sprang to her hooves. Willem, you did this? Actually, no. Willem leaned against the doorframe. She had any right to be here. Vandila had never quite felt like she belonged, but Willem's presence was more ill-fitting. She had claimed whatever room she walked in with her mere presence. Veron did it too. Her little sister was inheriting more and more of her father's traits with each passing night. Vandila faltered. What? I didn't kill her. He did. Willem inclined her head. For the first time, Vandila noticed a second body beyond the couch. Basnote's head had been all but completely separated from his body. His bloody scent mingled with the Professor Orchard's, becoming inspirable to Vandila's nose. Her intake in the breath seemed an ordinary sound in the small office. Basnote had not been seen on the campus since he was expelled for his attack on Octavia. He had gone home to his parents in disgrace, carrying a criminal record instead of the university degree that they had expected. Death had not come easily to him. His expression was locked in a ruckus of surprise and fear. He tried to throw a couch at me, Willem snorted. A couch! I've been hunting him all week, but ironically, it wasn't until he left the L estate and then came to town that he was all alone enough for me to strike. And then he tries to throw a furniture at my head. Threw it back at him, of course. I missed, but that mare was beyond carrying at that point. He put up quite a bit of fight for a immortal. How come you can't use telepathy like that, big sis? Telekinesis, Vandila said, slowly unable to quite believe what was going on. Condolences? Really? It wouldn't be, not even after she was that unlucky. Were you hunting this stallion? It was fun. He kept coming to this tavern I've been hunting at for the past couple weeks. A real rundown place, the outskirts of town. I like to chase the patrons into the forest and scare the poop out of them before bringing them down. They wander out and they come around, and it's hilarious to see them bumping into things. Once one of them cracked its head open on a rock. This guy, though, he is a riot. Or he was. He had such a potty mouth. Way worse than his older stallions who usually drink there. I learned all sorts of naughty new few words. He hated that more. Willem pointed where the Professor Orchard lay. Kept talking about how it was her fault that it got kicked out of the university. Even I was surprised when he came out here to kill her tonight, though. Willem sauntered over as she spoke and kicked the corpse. Basnote slid sideways, smearing the body arc against the wall. It looked like the world's worst painted rainbow. It was always that nag of this, and I'll make her pay, and if it hadn't been for her, my life wouldn't be ruined, and yada yada yada. Never pegged him for a killer, though. She shrugged. Mortals are weird. Willem's words rang in Vandila's ears. Basnote blamed Professor Orchard for this expulsion, but the professor wasn't even the reason he was thrown out. She protested. Octavia had been. Vandila snapped her mouth out with a jolt, resulting in what she had said. How would you know? Willem narrowed her eyes. I've been hunting here for a few months now. All these drunken teenage ponies, it's easy pickings. They drink to access parties and can't remember their own names, let alone when they're waking up in strange places with less blood than they had started the night. This place is your hunting ground? Willem sounded both pleased and delighted. Well, why didn't you tell me? We could have hunted together, or shared. All this young flesh around, and you were keeping it all for yourself? And Daddy? Well, yes, but that goes without saying. No wonder why you like taking from you more and more lately. Your prey must be taste sweeter than the old duffers that I've been drinking from. It won't last much longer. Vendela fought to keep the tremor in her voice and her eyes off the unpended couch. Nobody else was here on a Saturday, or else take this damage, and the commotion would have raised the alarm already. Why not? It's nearly summer break. We all go home then. Aw, Willem pouted. Phooey. So what did you mean by all this, Professor Mare, not being the reason that my naughty stallion was kicked out of this place? Vandela swallowed, carving the story out from the frozen mass of her brain as she spoke, hoping she didn't contract herself. You go through parties and speak through ponies, and you learn such things. He beat up another student. That's why he was thrown out. Oh, really? Willem tapped her chin and thought. That would explain it, actually. Explain what? Why he kept asking this Professor Mare where she was, and why she looked upset from when her neck broke. He was holding her in his telepathy? No, telekinesis. That's what she said, right? Right. Yeah. And only her horn was doing that glowing thing too, and she was struggling like blazes. Then crack. No more Professor Pony. Vandela could picture that in her mind. Basno might have taken Professor Orchard by surprise as she sat at her desk waiting for Vandela to arrive for her lesson. She might have even thought the door opening was her. More often than not, she did look up whatever until Vandela had been sitting on the couch for several minutes. She could have envisioned Basno grabbing her up with his telekinesis, demanding to know where Octavia was, Professor Orchard fighting back until Vandela's hoof tingled at the memory of the splintering bone and flesh and the meaty thump of a body falling from a tree. This was her fault. Big sis, are you okay? We can't cover this up, Willem. Willem stared at the carnage as if she was just seeing properly. Oh yes, pretty hard to make this look accidental, huh? Daddy is going to make us leave. Vandela swallowed the lump in her throat. If he doesn't kill us first. Willem was at white, but as she seemed to grow paler at the realization. He won't, she said, though. She didn't sound sure. He loves us. He'll understood. This wasn't our fault. Maybe if we let that stallion alive, it might have been okay. But Willem, why did you have to go so far? As if on cue, the last few seconds of skin holding Basno's head till his neck snapped and his skull struck the floorboards. Willem's throat bobbled. He won't. I mean, Daddy loves me. I just hope he was done with courting. Vandela's mind raced. And the mares that were courting are with full now. Willem's eyes rounded. Didn't you know? 3 of them are. What? Weren't you listening to when he told us? She was clearly had been, but then again her thoughts had been consumed with magic lessons and Octavia for the last 2 months. Octavia? Vera would make them leave tonight. Vandela knew that the same certainty had told her that the sun would rise tomorrow, and when he would punish his daughters or not. They would leave tonight, and Vandela would never see Octavia again. Fly home. Big sis? I'll mess up the crime scene. Vandela lit her horn. I'll make it look like they both died by a magic fight. Willem's eyes lit up with hope. Can you do that? I'll try. Fly home, get there as quick as you can. Tell Daddy what I'm doing. Maybe he'll be easier on us. And with the time that she had brought herself, maybe Vandela could too get Octavia to say goodbye. She had harbored no hope that she would be able to stay after while her father and sister left. That was not how things worked. It was never how they worked, and would never be how they worked. She was trapped in this forever life Veron had designed for her. For a short time, she had begun to think that maybe there was just hope for her. But this just confirmed that she was destined to stay trapped forever. But a goodbye was much too much hope for it. Was it? Go, Vendela. Vandela picked up the lamp off the desk, and telekinetically hurled over to the window. Go! Vendela escaped through the jagged window. soaring up into a cloud bank that concealed her white body. Vandala preceded the wreck with the tiny office yet furniture. Sweeping her magic around in a huge wave, she yanked chunks out of the walls, tore free ceiling fan, and whirling it around to keep it into Bassnote's body that looked like it had been what killed him because of the weight of his body that pulled off from the ceiling. She did her best to stage the fight scene, apologizing to Professor Orchard for treating the remains so poorly. "I'm so sorry," she cried, her tears streaking her face. "I'm so sorry." Finally, she blew all the torn pages into the air, lit the oil lamp to Professor Orchard's brother that had given her, and allowed that drifting page to fall into flame. The rest took care of itself. As she streaked away from the store, Vandala kept her mind focused on the task ahead, instead of just performed. She traveled by the rooftop, hiding in the shadows and not looking back, even when the alarm began to ring. Octavia opened her eyes with a frown, desperately knocking. Her expression melted into a smile. Then concern saw when she saw Vandala in the corridor. "V, what's—" "There's no time." Vandala pushed her inside, slammed the door behind them. "I'm leaving tonight." "Leaving?" Octavia repeated. "What do you mean?" "Leaving Trottingham. My father is going to make us move tonight." "He can't." "Yes, he can." "But why?" "I can't explain now, Octavia. Please, I don't have much time. I came to say goodbye, but if he found out I was here," he swallowed, "he may hurt you." "Hurt me? Because I put you above him." Octavia's eyes widened. "Don't go back to him. Stay here. I'll hide you." Vandala shook her head sorrowfully. "These past few months, they've been the best of my life, and I meant that. I loved every minute. You have no idea how much I wish I could stay." Her throat felt clogged up, like she was talking through a congealed blood. "I would give up anything just to be able to stay with you." "Then why?" "Because I don't have that option. He'll never let me go. Professor Orchard, she tried to help me. She wanted me to go to the authorities." Vandala didn't bother to hold back tears. "Bassnote tonight, he... Bassnote?" Octavia frowned. "Fee, what happened? Why did you smell of smoke?" "Bassnote." Vandala stumbled over her words. How could she explain this? "He came looking for you, but... Professor Orchard, I found them, but... I couldn't..." "V?" At last, Octavia sounded scared. "Octavia, please. My father won't let us stay. I know him. He won't let us stay here. The media that will come for us. But I need you to come and say goodbye to you." "I'll come and find you," Octavia resultantly said. "I don't know where we'll be going, and it's not safe. I won't let you put yourself at risk for me. But, Octavia, I think I love you, and I'd die before I let anything happen to you. So please, forget about me, okay? I need you to know that I didn't just leave because I wanted to. But I can't. I think I love you too." Octavia smiled softly. "But I didn't know. I thought you weren't into mares. But all the time we spent together, I was the best time of my life, too. I was so lonely, and then when you came along and..." She gulped. "I don't want you to go." "I don't want to go," Vandala replied, her chest hurting at the realization of what it might have been. "But I have to. I need you to be safe. You're my best thing in my life, and... Then there was a mouth on hers, who was running through her mane, and everything touch and feel, and the smell. Octavia, Octavia, and Octavia. Vandala broke the kiss with a gasp of air. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I want you to be safe, too," Octavia whispered back. "This isn't fair. You didn't deserve this." Vandala leaned in to hold on to her, feeling Octavia's body begin just to judder as she cried, "I'm so sorry." "Please don't leave me," Octavia sobbed. "I waited to tell you how I felt. But please don't let this be the end before it even started. Whatever happens, we could face it together. Bassnote, your father, anything. You wouldn't say that if you knew the whole story. V, please." "I'm sorry, Octavia. I love you so much." She hadn't even realized what love was until this moment, and as soon as she found it, she lost it. "No, V, wait! Come back!" She ran from the dorm, with the sound of Octavia's crying in her ears, and and the taste of hers on her lips.